So following our interview in the previous segment with former City of Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba, who has opened a criminal case against the Office of the Public Protector following a leaked draft report which contained adverse findings against him, we're now joined via Skype by the spokesperson of the Public Protector's Office, Oupa Segalwe. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning, Sakina. Thank you for having me.
So what is your office's response to Mayor Mashaba and Mr. Tembe's laying of charges?
Well, firstly, it's not our understanding that Mr. Mashaba laid the charges against the public protector. He has made it clear who he suspects of having leaked that report if you were to review weekend newspapers. But we have also opened a criminal case against whoever leaked that particular document from our side. The head of our provincial office in Gauteng went to Hillbrook police station yesterday to do that because it is a criminal offense in terms of the Public Protector Act to disclose to another person a document or a record of evidence that is before the Public Protector for the purpose of an investigation. But our interest in sending this message to the public goes beyond that because for us, publishing such documents could potentially jeopardize an investigation. But more than that, it could strain relations between us and the parties on whom such a notice has been served. So it's very important to drive the message that we totally discourage leaking such documents as well as publishing the content of that document. But another important message to stress is that such documents do not enjoy any status whatsoever because they are essentially drafts. So they are served on these parties for purposes of soliciting their comments on what could potentially be findings. And then depending on what comments they supply the public protector with, the document can always change. And that's why in the past you have heard people saying things like, findings have been watered down and so forth. It's because a draft is exactly that. It's a draft, and then it can never be reflective of what will eventually be the content of the final report.
So who does the Public Protector's Office suspect of having leaked this draft report?
We have got no suspect. All that we know is that that document was served on several parties who are implicated. And then it's about 5 individuals and about 5 institutions all in all. So it could have come from any of them. But it's a police matter now. It's for the police to establish where the leak came from and take it from there.
With regard to what the document alleges against Mr. Mashaba, wasn't he previously vindicated or was it only partial?
Well, I'm not first and foremost in a position to comment on the content of the document because that then will effectively be me authenticating whatever has been published out there. So I can't go there, but there has never been any vindication because this is an ongoing investigation. We can talk vindication much later once the final report has been put out, provided that it says someone has been vindicated. But at this stage, this is an ongoing investigation. There are no conclusions yet.
So, just remind us how and why this particular issue has been in the Public Protector's domain.
Well, around 2018, the Public Protector received an anonymous complaint in which it was alleged that there is gross maladministration within the city of Joburg. Among other things, it was alleged that there were irregular staff appointments, irregular increase of staff salaries, mismanagement of funds, irregular procurement practices, and so forth. And then there was also an allegation of conflict of interest involving the former mayor of Johannesburg. So that is the scope of the investigation.
Now, you said you are not at liberty to comment on the actual contents of this draft leaked report. But looking at the fact that it has been leaked and it emanates, this report, from the Public Protector's Office, and it's not the first time that a document has been leaked from the Public Protector's Office. Has anyone been charged for previous leaks, and how has this been dealt with previously?
I think one thing that needs to be clear is that the document originates from the Public Protector, but that does not mean it leaked from the Public Protector. Remember, we have been working on this investigation since 2018, and there was no leak. The leak only came at the point where we had shared the document with external parties, as we are compelled to do in terms of the Public Protector Act, Section 7, subsection 9. Now, once it is in the hands of other parties, we have absolutely no control on what they do with it. But we do make it clear to them that it is a confidential document that should not be shared. And we also make it clear in the same document that sharing it with the next person is a criminal offense. And if convicted, the person who shared it could be liable for a fine of up to 40,000 rand or a jail term not exceeding 12 months or both. But we still have incidences where people still share it. I suppose they think that they could never be caught, but one day is one day.
And this is exactly what I said, Mr. Segalwe. The document originates in your office, but how have you dealt with previous leaks? Or was it also just a matter of it's out there, we talk about it, and it's been left at that? Or have you actually gone further to try and find the origins of those leaks and deal with it?
I seem to recall that previously cases have been opened, but you know, we are not a criminal investigation organization. That is why we defer to the police, who have the mandate to launch criminal investigations. And once it's in their hands, it's really up to them to see to it that the culprits are found. But up to so far, there hasn't been anyone, you know, who appeared in court following an investigation by the police.
So at this stage, what is the status with regard to this particular draft report? Has Mr. Mashaba responded at all? And how much longer before we see that final report? Are you in a position to tell us?
Well, in terms of the rules that the Public Protector relies upon to do her work, parties have got about 10 working days within which they should respond to the content of that particular notice. But I'm aware that there are parties who have already requested extensions, and the Public Protector has granted them those requests. But once all the responses are in, the Public Protector will then go through each of them with a fine-tooth comb, because those are essentially representations from those people in their attempt to clear their name or something like that. Now, once she has done all of that, she will incorporate that information into what will eventually be a final report for release. But I can't be specific in terms of timelines now, because I'm not sure what deadline were they given.
And just a final question, Mr. Mashaba, in response to this leaked draft report, as it were, contends that the Public Protector's report is flawed in both law and fact. And given what has happened in the Public Protector's Office and cases lost in recent times, how do you respond to that? Are you concerned that this may go the same route as previous cases that we've seen recently?
Well, as I said, I don't want to get into the merits of the case to say all of that. Obviously, Mr. Mashaba has his own concerns and he can say that. But for me to comment on the content would be improper. Safe to say, the Public Protector knows what she's doing. She understands the provisions of law, of the law, of the policies upon which she relies whenever she conducts investigations. And then at the end of the day, if anyone disagrees with the findings, the law is clear. They can go to court and the court can pronounce on that. It's nothing out of the ordinary. Each and every day you have a higher court overturning a decision of a lower court. I don't know why it is strange when it happens in the case of the public protector.
We have to leave it there. Thanks so much. Oupa Segalwe, spokesperson of the Office of the Public Protector, talking to us about allegations leveled against former City of Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba, as well as a document about him being leaked to the media. And as you heard there, Public Protector's Office saying that leak did not emanate in their office. So that's where we're going to leave it for now. It's time for Headline News with Leanne.